These are images taken from two different cameras that use the exact same sensor. Can you tell which is from which? This is the new Svbony SC571 crop sensor camera, and this is the trusty old ZWO ASI2600MC Pro. They use the exact same sensor, the IMX571. They're both crop sensor, and side by side you can clearly see some other differences. Here's what the back looks like. You can see that the ZWO ASI2600MC Pro is a little bit bigger, and it's bigger in size and weight. And I'll go over the differences between these two as well as similarities, and introduce to you the brand new SC571CC that I've had the pleasure of testing over the last few months. The images that you saw were all imaged from my Bortle 8 backyard right here outside of Boston using the ASCAR 91F quadruplet, which is a 91mm quadruplet telescope from ASCAR. When it came to imaging broadband objects, the ZWO comes with built-in UV IR cut filter. You can tell by the pink glow. And for the Svbony, it comes with the AR glass, which is anti-reflective, and I used an Svbony UV IR cut filter. And when I imaged the narrowband objects, I used the Svbony SV220 7nm filter. I don't have the 3nm yet, but I'm hoping to test that at some point in the future. And all images were processed exactly the same way. They were all stacked first in serial using one of my Python scripts, and then post-processed in PixInsight side by side using the exact same processes. The SC571CC is a budget astrophotography crop sensor camera, but can it really compete with the ASI2600MC Pro? So I'll deep dive into both of these cameras, look at the images, go over the similarities and differences, and then you can decide whether or not it's worth it. I'll also give my opinion later on in the video. The Svbony sent this to me a few months ago, back in November, and it was sent to me as a prototype. And as with any prototype, there was a danger that this wouldn't work at all. So when they sent this to me, this actually had no driver, so I couldn't use it. Even with basic ASCOM drivers, my computer just would not recognize it. But after a few weeks, Svbony emailed me the drivers, and then I was up and running in Nina. And the driver is now available publicly on their website. So huge thanks to Svbony for sending this to me and for trusting me with this review. And as a disclaimer, just want to say that this is going back to Svbony in a few weeks. So I only had it as a loaner, and I tested this, gave them all of my feedback, and used this enough to make this video. And aside from that, I am not getting compensated in any way for this video. Svbony does not have a say in anything I say, but I will make a commission if you order this camera using the referral link in the description. So if you do plan on ordering this, I would greatly appreciate it if you use that link. So as we see, there are some differences between the two cameras, but let's go over some of the similarities first. So first, they're both IMX571 APS-C sensors. They both have the exact same pixel size of 3.76 microns and a sensor diagonal of 28.3 millimeters. The quantum efficiency is at 80% for both of these. The full well depth of both of them are 50,000 electrons. Unity gain for both of them are at 100. I'll have something to say about that soon. They both have built-in dew heaters. I know that was a big question. No amp glow in either of these. They both have 512 megs of DDR3 cache. They're both 16-bit ADC. They have full ASCOM support, and they have the exact same FPS of 14.3. They're both USB 3.0 compatible, and they both require up to a 12-volt 3-amp power input with 2 asterisks. To quickly talk about the 2 asterisks, the first one is about the 12-volt power connector here. Again, this was a prototype, so this is actually fixed in the production unit, but I just wanted to mention what I went through here. So there are 2 main connector types. There's the 5.5 by 2.1 millimeter and 5.5 by 2.5 millimeter. The ZWO and all the other cameras I've tested use the 2.1 millimeter version, but the prototype SC571 came with a 2.5 millimeter version, so I was unable to use the 12-volt power adapters that came with the SV241. So the first couple of nights it was a little bit weird because I had to use 2 different power adapters, but I ended up buying a Pegasus Astro 2.5 to 2.1 converter, and that fixed my issue. In the production unit, this is fixed, so this will have the 2.1 millimeter version, so you'll be able to use your regular power adapters as you go. The second asterisk is about the USB 3.0 compatibility. Since this is a USB-C, unlike USB-B, which is this thick one, it's a lot easier to tell when something is USB 3 compatible. It's blue, it has the extra connectors there, it's reverse compatibility, and it just works, right? USB 3, USB-C connectors are a little bit weirder. There are so many cables that advertise USB 3, but they're not USB 3, so you have to make sure when you're connecting this, if you want USB 3 speeds, you want to make sure that your cable is USB 3. I went through about 5 cables until I started using one of my more expensive USB-C cables to finally get USB 3 speed. So that's one tip for you. Now let's go over some of the differences between the two cameras. Looking at the resolution, the SC571CC is 6224 by 4168 pixels, and the ZWO is 6248 by 4176 pixels. The gain for the SC571CC starts at 100, so you cannot go below 100. And the gain on the ASI2600 starts at gain 0. But the SC571 gives you access to control the low conversion gain or high conversion gain, so you can turn it on and off. Whereas on the ASI2600, it automatically switches to high conversion gain at gain 100 or at unity gain. I already mentioned the USB-C versus USB-B input, and a lot of people will mention that the SC571 does not have a USB hub in the back. This is very common for Svbony cameras, but not ZWO cameras, which come with 2 USB-A outputs. The Svbony comes with AR glass or anti-reflective glass, and the ASI2600 comes with UV IR cut glass. There is no tilt adjuster, it's just a static front plate on the Svbony, but it does have mounting holes in the front, which I believe align with the OAG for Svbony, and the ASI2600 has a built-in tilt plate, which is kind of handy, right? And you can actually remove this and get some back focus back. Which is the next point. The sensor on the SC571 is 17.5 millimeters, and on the ZWO with the tilt plate is 17.5, but you can remove it and it'll be 12.5. The SC571 weighs 579 grams and the ZWO weighs 696 grams. It's a 117 gram difference, and it is noticeable when you pick up the two of them. The SC571 costs $1,299 and the ASI2600 costs $1,499. So it's a difference of $200. But I'm told that if you order the SC571, it comes with an Svbony SV241, which is their base power box. You can't control any of the cables, so it's not the Pro version. So it's a value of about $60. So take it how you will, whether or not this is worth it. It does give you access to 3 USB-A cables output and 1 USB-C, and a bunch of DC 12-volt outputs. Is there a way of making up for no USB hub? But is it worth it to you? I also did a sensor analysis in SharpCap using both low conversion gain and high conversion gain, and the results were as expected. On low conversion gain, the full well is a tiny bit over 50,000 electrons, and it is at unity gain f100. And in high gain, the full well is 14,580 electrons, which also makes sense. When you're doing astrophotography, it's always better to do high conversion gain because it's really unlikely that you will fill up the full well depth of your pixels unless you're imaging a really bright star or like a really bright core. In which case, low conversion gain can really come in handy when you're trying to do a big HDR image, such as of the Orion Nebula's core or the core of M31. But in 99.99% of cases, you're going to be using high conversion gain. And ZWO tries to be a little bit more user-friendly, so they force HCG on you whether you like it or not, and Svbony gives you the choice to pick for yourself. Pick HCG. And this interfaces with Nina as a normal camera, and this has been my main Astrocam for the last 2.5 months, and I've enjoyed it. And I also used ASTAP to look at the sensor tilt, and this fits my ASCAR91F almost perfectly, because look at this. I've never seen a sensor tilt at 1% out of the box. It's just a little bit between session to session, but it's generally between 1 and 3%, which is kind of mind-blowing. The ASCAR91F also deserves some credit for providing such a flat field for a flat sensor. I do have a video on that, so check that out when you get a chance. Right, now let's compare some images between the SC571 and the ASI2600MC Pro and take a look. A quick look at the California Nebula taken with the SC571 on the left and the 2600MC Pro on the right. The integration time is similar, 24 by 300 seconds on the ASI2600 and 28 by 300 on the SC571. They were taken on different nights, so it's not a complete one-for-one comparison because the seeing conditions and the moon was actually different. But if you look at the colors of these stars, like if I zoomed into let's say this double star here, these are not registered, so I'm not syncing them. You can look at the double stars, like they look perfectly fine. The 2600MC Pro looks a little bit darker, but again, I think it has to do with the sky conditions. I think I need a second telescope of the same specs in order to test cameras, but who's gonna send me a second telescope? And everything looks fine. Like I can process them pretty similarly, and that's what these two are. So I did register them and then process them. Again, the sky conditions did have some effect, but with the SC571, I feel like I was able to get more details out. As I mentioned, I did the exact same processing steps here. I did them side by side, but you can see, look, the nebulosity here and the contrast here looks a little bit better on the SC571 than on the 2600MC Pro, but again, I think it could be due to the seeing conditions of that evening. I didn't do any kind of dark nebulae enhancements on this one. It's just naturally darker, which is interesting. And these are synchronized, so I can synchronize them. And you can see, I zoom in and I'm pointing to the exact same star. And the telescope is the same, the background, is going to be the same. Looking at the stars, it's pretty similar. But let me know what you think about the extra contrast coming in from the SC571. All right, now looking at a broadband image, this is double cluster in Perseus. This is already processed because, again, looking at the individual frames, it's not a one-for-one comparison. I probably should do a better job at that. But, going in here, these are different integration times as well. But, the color between the two of the stars, it looks really nice. The background is, I think, a little bit cleaner. They look very similar to me. I think the ASI2600MC Pro has a little bit of a darker background. Even though I tried processing these the exact same way, it's really hard to get all the sliders exactly in the same spot, especially when you do GHS, because there are some slight differences. But in both cases, the stars look beautiful. Just a quick look at some other examples I've taken just with the SC571 that I haven't with the 2600MC Pro and the 91F. So this is M101. Again, this was minimal processing. I used multi-scale adaptive stretch to just stretch, no stars removed beforehand, just to see what I get. And this, like, the color of the galaxy looks pretty amazing. Could have gotten a little bit sharper with some more processing, but that galaxy, this galaxy, there's one right here. This looks amazing. I mean, again, also credit does go to the ASCAR-71F for being such an amazing telescope. Next one we'll look at is going to be image 3 here. This is M109, and then I forget the name of the other galaxy there, but here we go. This is the vacuum cleaner galaxy. With a couple other galaxies over there, over here, over here, over here. It picks up these galaxies really, really well. The star looks okay. More galaxies. There's a lot of galaxies in this region. Look at this one. And then here's another one. So, and more, like I zoom in, more galaxies, they just appear. And the last thing is going to be Messier 1, M1, the Crab Nebula. I do have some color noise here. This is from processing. You can see I oversaturated this, so I need to redo this processing anyway, but I was just mostly looking at the Crab Nebula here. It looks really amazing with this setup. The stars look perfectly fine. They are a little bit oversaturated, but again, I can fix that when I reprocess this. So this looks really good. I'm pretty happy with this camera, and I think anyone getting into the hobby or looking to add an IMX571 camera to their arsenal, I think the SC571CC is going to be a great addition. Overall, I am impressed with the SC571CC. It costs about 20% less than the ASI2600MC Pro, 23% if we take the SV241 into consideration. And knowing Svbony, they will probably have sales, so you will most likely not pay full price. At the moment of this sentence, I don't have a coupon code to share with you, but if I do, it will be in the description and or in the pinned comment. So please check that location for any additional discounts coming to my viewers. Aside from the lower price, one of the things I like about this is the smaller form factor. Like compared to this, you can see just how much bigger this is. And like I said, the weight difference is noticeable, like when you're lifting these. And if you have a lightweight mount, 100 grams could mean the difference between going over the limit and staying within the limit. I do like the ability to control the conversion gain from low and high. I do like that it comes with the AR glass, the anti-reflective glass. I do wish it gave you a choice for the glass so that you can decide, but the AR glass lets me decide if I want to add UV IR cut. So if I want to use a filter that lets me access the infrared wavelength, I can with this. With the ASI2600MC Pro, I cannot. I am stuck with UV IR cut. One thing that probably could be better with the camera is probably allow you to access additional gain. So it starts at 100. What if I want to do zero gain, with get even more dynamic range? And I think at some points, if you look at the specs for the ASI2600, it'll say that it can go up to 73,000 electrons as a full well depth. That's if you go down to zero gain. As soon as you get to unity gain, it'll go to around 50,000, which is this. It starts at 50,000 and it stays at 50,000. So it does not go more than 50,000 because you can't go below unity gain. The lack of a USB hub is a negative for me, and I know it is for a lot of people. There are so many devices that we need to attach to our imaging rigs, and I use up both USB 2.0 outputs on the 2600MC Pro really easily. Having the SV241 is fine. I now use the SV241 Pro, which has a few more slots, which help. But even then, I will always find something that I need to plug into, whether it's a camera angle adjuster, autofocus, something. So my question for you is including the SV241 with the camera equivalent to having a USB hub, or would you rather have a USB hub and pay another $200? A couple people have told me that they don't like the USB-C interface. I am ambivalent about it. I don't really care. But I think USB-C is a way to future-proof things. It also has a smaller profile. The cables are a little bit thinner, so I think USB-C is fine. But what do you think about it? I took and processed quite a few images with this camera, including this image of Comet 3i Atlas. I also tested the SV545 small 45mm refractor from Svbony that I paired with this, and it worked really well. And you can see some of my images on the Svbony Instagram, Facebook page, their website, and you'll see them again at the end of this video. If you have any questions about this camera or the ZWO camera, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, what you're thinking about this camera. Svbony, again, is a budget company. They are doing their best to trying to provide cheaper alternatives for things that we use all the time. And again, if you're going to order this camera, I would appreciate it if you would use the referral link in the description below. One question that someone just asked me on Cloudy Nights, which I thought was worth including here, is would I still buy the SC571CC if I didn't have the 2600MC Pro? And after thinking about it, my answer is yes. This is a great beginner crop sensor camera. It is cheaper than the ASI2600MC Pro, and that in itself is worth purchasing, because even used, the ASI2600MC Pro is about $1,200–1,300. So why not get one new that comes with warranty and from a trusted company? And I do kind of want a second IMX571 camera or crop sensor camera where it'll make testing some of my things a little bit easier, but since I already have one, it's kind of crazy to get another IMX571 color sensor. 2026 is when I think I want to do monochrome, so if I do upgrade, if I do want to get another IMX571 camera, it will probably be a monochrome camera. And with that said, a huge thanks to all of my patrons on Patreon, my Mia Coffee supporters, and YouTube members for being amazing and supporting me through my Astro ventures. If you'd like to join them, please check the links in the description and pinned comment below. Paid members actually got a sneak peek at this camera months ago, probably like a month before it was even announced, so reason to join. And until next time, happy stargazing and clear skies.